Welcome back, 8th graders, to today's Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to be guiding you today because, honestly, we are tackling one of the most important skills you will ever learn. Seriously, both inside and outside the classroom. Today is basically a masterclass on reading for meaning. We're going to learn how to read like a detective building a rock-solid case. Because, anyone can just read words on a page. But a truly great reader, a detective reader, they know how to look beneath the surface and actually prove what they see.
Okay, let's dive right into this with a little challenge. Whenever you read something and form an opinion about it, you have to stop and ask yourself one huge question. Where is my proof? I mean, anyone can make a wild guess, right? Anyone can just throw an opinion out there into the world, but can you actually prove it? Well, today we're going to learn exactly how to do that. Here is our roadmap for today's lesson. First up, the power of proof. Then we'll look at witnesses to the truth. After that, it's choosing strong evidence and building your case. We'll see some evidence in action, and finally, we'll wrap it all up with a godly learner's mind.
All right, Section 1, the power of proof. Let's talk about why evidence actually matters and why we just can't rely on our gut feelings when we're analyzing a text.
And this brings us to a super important definition. A strong inference is a conclusion that is backed up by clear, direct evidence from the text. The crucial thing to remember here is that a true inference is not just jumping to conclusions. Like, if you read a story and say, "Oh, I think the main character is unhappy," but you literally can't point to a single thing in the book that shows that, you haven't made an inference, you've just made a guess. A strong inference is a carefully supported claim.
Now, what's really cool is how mastering this one single skill totally transforms you. When you learn to back up your inferences with hard evidence, you become this incredibly powerful communicator. It makes your reasoning convincing. When you speak up in class discussions, people are going to listen because you have the proof to back it up. It powers up your essays, it makes you virtually unstoppable in debates, and most importantly, it keeps you from making weak, incorrect guesses. No more jumping to conclusions without support.
Moving on to Section 2, witnesses to the truth. Let's take a look at the biblical foundation of proof.
So, this verse from 2 Corinthians is absolutely vital. Every matter must be established by the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses. You see, God deeply cares about truth and evidence. Think about a courtroom, right? A judge isn't going to put someone in jail just because a lawyer guesses they're guilty. No way. They require witnesses. Well, your reading is exactly the same. When you make a claim about a text, the text itself has to provide the witnesses to establish what's actually true. Okay, Section 3, choosing strong evidence. What should we actually look for? Let's find those witnesses.
So, when you ask that golden question, where's my proof? You need to be actively hunting for specific types of textual clues. First up, direct quotes. So what characters actually say out loud. Second, character descriptions, how the author physically describes them. Third, character actions, what they actually do. And finally, patterns in the text, stuff that happens over and over again. These are going to be your absolute best witnesses. All right, Section 4, building your case. Here's the 3-step process you can use every single time you read.
Here is your foolproof blueprint. Step 1, make an inference. That's your main claim about the text. Step 2, find the evidence. Track down those textual witnesses we just talked about. And step 3, honestly, this is the most crucial one. Explain the link. You have to explain exactly how your witnesses prove your point.
I want to pause here for a second, because this right here, this is the most common trap I see 8th graders fall into. You literally cannot just drop a quote into an essay and expect it to do all the heavy lifting for you. Just saying, "This shows he's angry," doesn't cut it. You have to act like a master lawyer and explain the connection to the jury. Why does this specific quote show he's angry? What exact words prove it? You have to take that invisible link and make it visible.
Let's jump right into Section 5, Evidence in Action. Time to review the case files and see how this works in practice.
Let's open up Case File 1. So our inference is that the character is afraid of the dark. Our evidence is a direct quote, "She clutched the flashlight like it was a lifeline." Now notice the explanation here. We don't just say, "This shows she's scared." No, we explain the link. We say the imagery of clutching a flashlight like a literal lifeline strongly suggests a deep, deep fear of the darkness around her. See? The evidence perfectly serves as the witness.
And this brilliantly brings us to Case File 2. Because sometimes, you don't actually have a specific quote. Here, our inference is that the town is preparing for a storm. Our evidence? Well, we notice multiple characters boarding up windows and buying supplies. Our explanation points out that these repeated actions happening across the whole community are entirely consistent with storm preparation. Boom, we just used character actions as our proof.
Finally, let's look at case file 3. Our inference here is that the narrator of the story is unreliable. Basically, we can't trust him. The evidence? The narrator gives conflicting accounts of the exact same event, and our explanation connects the dots. Spotting a pattern of inconsistent details strongly suggests dishonesty or maybe just deep confusion. So here, a pattern in the text became our star witness.
All right, now it is your turn to hit the books. To really sharpen these exact skills, your homework is going to have you actively finding quotes, analyzing settings, and spotting patterns all on your own. You're going to write your own inference with 2 pieces of solid evidence. Find a quote about a character's personality, use a setting detail, track a repeated action, and identify a pattern. I want you to really practice being that detective.
And finally, Section 6, A Godly Learner's Mind. Let's talk about wisdom in action. As we wrap up today's explainer, we really need to connect this incredible academic skill back to the core of who we are at HeroesMart Academy. Romans chapter 8, verses 6 and 7 teaches us that keeping the mind spiritually minded leads to life and peace. Having academic capability is wonderful, it really is. But as students, you need to pursue academic excellence while keeping your mind totally centered on God, on truth, and on wisdom.
You see, HeroesMart Academy intentionally intertwines biblical morality with education. Because education without morality, it can actually hurt. Knowledge and intelligence should help you make wise, God-honoring choices, rather than simply making you more capable. We aren't just learning how to prove arguments so we can win debates or just be right all the time. We're learning to use our intellect to seek the truth, to stand up for what is right, and to honor God in literally everything we do.
So, I want to leave you with this final challenge today. You now have the tools to read for meaning, to seek evidence, and to establish the truth. So, how will you use this ability, not just on your homework tonight, but in your everyday life, to make wise, God-honoring choices today? Keep seeking the truth, keep building your cases, and let God's wisdom guide your brilliant minds. I will see you all in the next lesson.